business. We have been flooded by hundreds of emails and letters from small businesses around Ontario saying that they are against this bill. The government keeps reading one letter of support. Is that the best they can do? Only one person is willing to go on the record and support it? Let's look at what this bill will do to small business. The government claims that this bill will improve workplace safety, which we all know is a bunch of nonsense, simply because those who would be newly protected are office workers who never set a foot on a construction site. The minister claims that this legislation will level the playing field. However, I don't believe it would. In fact, this bill would actually tilt the playing field in favour of big labour, big firms, and big Liberal donors. At the moment, all construction companies, both big and small, have an exemption for owners, directors, and executive officers. But with this legislation, all firms will be required to pay to insure their office workers. Proportionately speaking, this tax is a much larger hit for a small firm than a large one, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this minister also states that this piece of legislation would help to crack down on those who are cheating the system. I, along with many in this legislature, would agree that we must do everything we can to drive those out of the underground economy. However, the Ministry of Labour already has the power and tools to crack down on cheats, and all they have to do is perform more audits and get out of the office and into the field. In reality, Mr. Speaker, the first people that are going to be impacted by this piece of legislation are those in the above-ground economy, not the cheaters, and the WSIB already knows who those legitimate guys are because they are registered with them. The legislation allows cheaters to prosper while cracking down on the good guys, the low-hanging fruit. The day after this bill is enacted, WSIB will ask the above-ground operators to pay more on their owners, officers, and directors. The bad guys in the underground economy aren't going to surface anytime soon. In the meantime, office workers will be footing the bill of the WSIB cheaters, as owners, directors, and executive officers are a far much easier group to find than the actual cheaters. This is why, on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we believe that the government shouldn't waste their time on this type of program when their energy and resources should be spent on creating a named insurance system so that we know exactly who is covered and who is not. In fact, I heard the Minister of Labour today advocate for such a system if someone could show him how it would work, a named insurance system, and we intend to work with him to do that. Mr. Speaker, if the Minister were sincere about that, he wouldn't be targeting owners of small business. He wouldn't be targeting people who have to work even when they are hurt and can't get the full benefit of WSIB coverage, even though they are paying for it. The minister also wouldn't be forcing executives to give up 24/7, 365-a-day-a-year coverage, far superior coverage that they pay for separately, for a more expensive coverage that doesn't offer them the same protection they need. Mr. Speaker, this bill is all about tilting the playing field in the construction industry in favour of big labour and big Liberal donors. No one should be fooled about this bill. This bill will be one of the biggest tax increases ever levied on small business in this province. If implemented,
I just caution members to not go too far in impugning motive. Thank you.
Point taken. If implemented as written, it may put many of these small businesses out of business. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business has indicated to us that from their members, they have calculated that this levy will cost each employer up to $11,000 a year on their small business. Despite that, the government is still forcing it through. This from the Premier, who said he would not be raising new taxes. The Finance Minister, the Treasurer, said the same just last month. The financial impact, Mr. Speaker, on our small businesses will be huge in this province. If passed, this Act will put many people out of business, and it will do nothing to take the unscrupulous people out of the equation. Some people have raised the issue, why weren't more small business people maybe here to oppose it? And we advocate that most of these small business people are out there today at this moment trying to make a living. They don't have high-paid lobbyists that are able to come and advocate on their behalf. So I do want to pay tribute to the members from Muskoka, the home builders from Muskoka that are here with us today in the gallery, took the time, spent the whole day here, and lobbied and talked to many of the members from all sides of the House. This will impose a new tax on small business, and this government should not be trying to tax small businesses, which employ more than half of Ontarians. Moreover, this government should not tax these businesses at a time when Ontario needs to maintain all the jobs it can. I can't figure out why, they are rushing this bill through so quickly. With an implementation date, Mr. Speaker, of 4 years from now, they have more than an adequate time to work with small business, to work with the opposition, and to work with the stakeholders to make the improvements to this bill that it needs. But they have indicated to date no desire to do so. We have something back home that we call the red face test, and I don't think this will pass. Anyway, we will be making amendments to the bill that will remove owners and company directors from mandatory WSIB coverage. And we will also be making an amendment that will make insurance coverage mandatory for all construction workers, but they will have the option of finding private insurance instead of WSIB coverage. Mr. Speaker, on this side, we also believe that the government needs to refocus its energy on developing that named insurance system, like they do with OHAP, so that WSIB knows who is insured and who isn't. We think that this just makes common sense. And as I say, the Minister himself earlier today said that he would look at something like that. Mr. Speaker, we don't believe, in closing, that imposing a new tax on small business will do anything other than drive more of them out of business. We support going after the cheats and deadbeats in the underground economy, but we believe that this government has the power to do so now, and they need to use the rules that already exist. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'd ask the table to stop the clock for just a moment so we carry out a matter of